refers to transport options that are lightweight vehicles like bikes and scooters. I will say, micromobility in the form of the bicycle has been around since like the 18 teens. I mean, the first one was basically an adult strider. It was like two wheels, a seat, handlebars, no pedals. And that was in the 18 teens. And then, later in the 1800s, the model that we more recognize now, right, with the drivetrain, pedals, came to be. That was like in the late 1800s. So humans have been choosing micromobility for over 150 years. Bicycles and scooters they're faster than walking, but they're slow enough that the rider still gets to experience their surroundings, their community, their environment. I think city planners realize that we can't keep designing our streets and our transportation networks around cars and trucks. They're big, they pollute, and even if they're not producing exhaust, they take up huge amounts of quality public space. And they're dangerous. They are not just dangerous to people driving them, depending on the situation. They're becoming more and more dangerous to people who are outside of the car and truck. So this isn't lost on the city planners, right? That we need to change the way we design. And when we design for people who aren't in cars, it makes our roads and networks better, safer, more accessible to everybody, even those who are driving. Like the streets in our cities and towns in so many places are still designed to move cars and trucks as fast as possible. And it has resulted in, a lack of safe places to bike, to scooter, to walk, to be a child, or to be an old person, or to be somebody with a disability. Conversely, bicycles and scooters and the places where it's comfortable to bike and scoot, these places contribute positively to the social fabric of our cities. Bikes and scooters help build community around freedom and fun and physical activity. I think they make getting around pleasant. I just think about arriving to my destinations on a bike and other people who arrive on a bike and how good it feels. It's not to say that it's like without any stress, but gosh, it feels so nice to hop off your bike right where you need to be and not have circled the block 5 times looking for parking or, been in a traffic jam.
Yeah, I think there's reduction of stress in some cases. I mean, part of it is exercise itself helps do that, but also you don't have to worry about parking. If there's a traffic jam, you can go past it because you can slip through or there's a bike lane for you. And some places, cities, if they're fortunate enough to have bike paths that are, Boulder, of course, has a lot of them, but other places where it winds through city parks or the woods or along a river, you're out having this very enjoyable experience, doing what some people would elect to do on a weekend once for fun, but you're commuting that way. So I think it's really nice.
That's a fantastic point, right? It becomes this way to connect and engage with our parks and other open spaces. And, you start thinking about different ways and routes to take. And again, because it's slower, you hear the sounds and smell the smells and see the sights. And there's a connection to community as a result of that.
So some of the most important safety tips, a lot of people overlook them, like making yourself visible or simply wearing a helmet. So what are a few simple habits or pieces of gear that make a difference for somebody?
I do want to say that making ourselves visible as bicyclists is smart, but we are in no way obligated to do so just because we choose to bike. That being said, there's some really fun gear out there to make ourselves more visible. Spoke flectors are one of my favorite. So I wish I had the pack to show you. They are little tubes that's all reflective material that you just snap onto your spokes. And I love them. I put them on both wheels, and especially at night when cars are coming from the cross streets, they can see me lit up from the side. So it's not just like I have a headlight and a tail light. I am completely visible from both sides because of these spoke reflectors. Highly recommend spoke reflectors. I also love neon and reflective. Like you can't have too much reflective wear.
So there's being safe, that's one thing, and then there's confidence, which, if you're a new rider or a hesitant rider, how do you build confidence on two wheels?
Sure. I love helping people feel confident on a bike. One, I've done this with friends and people who are hesitant, and I think that's a huge part of it is finding a friend and finding somebody else who bikes. I think I mentioned this earlier, bike clubs that do casual, all-inclusive rides, or just that one person at work maybe, or somebody in your a family member who bikes, and you've always kind of been like, oh, what's that about? Talk to them and see if they would be willing to, just go on a ride with you or give you, like, be your bike buddy. Plan some casual rides with somebody who is familiar with biking.